Hey guys, welcome to this product management course. In this course, we're going to cover everything you need to know to become a highly successful product manager and excel in the world of product management. Now, I'm really excited that you've decided to enroll in this course because we're going to be covering all of the basics, the essentials, and fundamentals of product management. And we're also going to review tools, tips, tricks, concepts, and everything else that will help you achieve your goals when you're actually in the role of a product manager. Now, beyond that, I'm also going to show you real world examples, applications, and I'm even going to share with you templates which you can use when you're doing things that a product manager does in a regular basis, such as product road mapping, experimentation, and review of metrics and analytics. I'm also going to share with you how a product manager reviews and compares products against what's out there in the market and how we use that business intelligence to improve and enhance our products over time. And ultimately, by the time you complete this course, you'll be able to start applying for jobs and roles in product management. And I'm going to show you how to prepare yourself, how to set up your CV, and how you can make the best of your interviews and your recruitment process as you step into the world of product management. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye. Hey guys, so I think we're all pretty familiar with the concept of a product, and we use products on a day-to-day all the time, and we are used to the concept of product associated to particular tangible things such as milk, your shoes, clothes, lamps, watches, etc. That's generally what we think of when we're thinking about products. We're thinking about those things that we buy for ourselves, for our friends, for our relatives, or for our family that are sitting around our house and stuff like that. The reality is, even though that is correct and that is part of the definition of a product, products also involve things such as software applications or subsections of applications. And in the world of product management, we generally consider subsections of applications products because sometimes some of those applications or some of those software that are being used in the world of technology can be so big and so complex that they need to be broken down into subsections or subproducts that then are actually considered products themselves and are actually managed by separate product managers. All right. Here is an example of a product that you're probably already very familiar with. Headphones, right? So headphones represent pretty much the traditional type of product that I was talking about earlier. And people working on this type of product are regularly and constantly working on how they can enhance them. For example, the product manager behind this product that you're seeing on screen is probably thinking how they can improve the audio, how they can make sure that the comfort of people wearing them is better, how they can actually make it nicer with the color, like what colors do people prefer? Why would they buy black headphones and not red ones and stuff like that? Or perhaps they should actually offer multiple different colors and different sizes. So that's the type of thing that the product team working behind these headphones would be thinking about. They might be thinking also about things such as connections like Bluetooth and other things such as the packaging of the product, etc. All right. So this is a perfect example of the type of product that is considered or that we would consider kind of like the traditional type of product like we talked about before. But like I mentioned earlier, there's also other categories in the world, in the big world of products, and that includes things such as applications. You might be familiar with this very popular application, which is called Spotify. So Spotify is basically an application that allows people to listen to music on their smartphone or their computer, right? So this application is managed by a product manager that is responsible for enhancing the features and the functionalities around it, such as the playback, the buttons, where the buttons are located, the color of the buttons, why you would have an interface in a particular order, and stuff like that. All of these things are there's actually a product team behind all of these applications who are making sure that you have the best possible experience that you can have and that you keep coming back to the application, because the more engaged you are with the application, the more successful we will consider the product in terms of the world of product management. And we'll talk later about engagement metrics and analytics and what that means for you as a product manager. But let's jump into another example that you're probably also familiar with, which is called Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams, for those who are not familiar with it, is an application that allows you to chat, share files, create teams for your colleagues and for yourself to work in, and to collaborate in the digital world while you're working on projects or assignments or tasks, right? And because Microsoft Teams is such a big product in itself, in Microsoft, they don't treat Microsoft Teams as a single product under a single product manager. They've actually subdivided the product. So they'll have a product manager focusing on the desktop version of Microsoft Teams. They'll have a product manager focusing on the mobile version of Microsoft Teams. And there'll also be another separate product manager working on the web and the cloud version of Microsoft Teams. Obviously, all of those three product managers are sitting under the Microsoft umbrella. They are part of the same company. They are working with the same product, only different aspects of that product, which is why they are actually treated as separate products within the company, even though as a whole, you could actually consider it a single thing. So that's why it's important for me to explain this part, because you'll often see products in the world of technology broken down into smaller chunks that are managed separately by separate product managers. And that just has to do with the amount and the complexity of the work involved. And it also has to do with the nature of the product itself, right? Like, for instance, the experience in a mobile application of Microsoft Teams is probably relatively different to what you're going to experience if you're using the desktop version. And I don't mean that the look and feel is going to be very different, or that the functionality is different, but there might be different needs that arise from the use of the product when you're using it on your desktop than when you're using it on your mobile phone, right? Because on a desktop, you have a bigger screen, you have a keyboard, you're probably typing with both of your hands, right? But when you're using the mobile application, it's a smaller screen. You're sometimes or often typing with just one of your hands, or just holding the phone with one of your hands, and so forth. So the functionality and the user requirements and the user needs, priorities, etc. around that product vary from the different versions or aspects of that product. And I'm going to show you another example to better explain this concept when we're talking about the world of technology. Now, obviously, we haven't just seen technology products or application products in this part of the course, but as you know, this course has been mainly focused for IT, right? For information technology. So for products in the world of technology, such as software applications, etc., right? But that doesn't mean that what you're learning in this course is solely and specifically for the world of IT. Not really. The basic principles and fundamentals of product management apply regardless of the industry, all right? So let's get into this other example that I think is really interesting, because there's a couple of things I want to show you in this particular example number 4, right? So you're basically seeing here on screen the results of a search I did on Google, right? And I just looked for used cars in New York, right? And this is the result that came up when I searched for used cars in New York. I want you to pay close attention to the things that I have highlighted and pointed with arrows, so that you can actually understand that even though Google, when you think about Google, you as an end user generally think of a single thing, and you're in your mind, you're probably considering Google as a single product. In the company, so the guys actually working at Google wouldn't consider Google a single product. And the reason for that is that there are actually multiple aspects of that big product called Google, and which you're seeing on screen right now, right? So for example, in these results, you're seeing paid ads at the top, right? Below that, you're seeing maps. Below that, you're seeing reviews. And underneath that, you're seeing organic natural search results, right? So all of these different things involve different teams and different product managers, because the aspects and the nature of these different things is quite different, right? To give you a perfect example, if you look at the first search result at the top, the keywords are relevant, but are not necessarily as relevant as the natural search results, which are influenced by what we call SEO, or search engine optimization, in the world of search engines such as Google, right? The first one at the top, somebody paid for that ad and they specifically selected a country, the language, the search terms, the keywords that were used in the search for that ad to pop up in the search result like it is right now. Okay, so that is quite different to the bottom search result, which is the results of organic searches coming from the Google engine, which is obviously not something people are paying for, but it's just Google trying to put at the top the most relevant information that people are trying to find based on a bunch of different variables and algorithms that together become that secret sauce or secret recipe, which makes Google so special in the sense that it matches somebody looking for something with someone that has that information published somewhere in the internet, right? Now, if you go to the middle section where we have maps and reviews, again, that is quite different to paid ads or natural search results, because the reviews, for instance, are more related to, we're talking there things about in a scale from 1 to 5 stars, the location, the number of people who have left a comment about their experience, pictures of the particular venue. And then in the map section, you're actually looking at an actual map, right? Like an actual physical map. And you're seeing there, the locations between the buildings, the roads, the types of roads, etc. And again, the information that needs to be considered and the user needs for that product are quite different from the reviews and from the paid ads and from the natural search item below. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, you're seeing all of this information pulled up together under Google in a search because there is a relationship between those different products and how you interact with them. And that's why you see that result when you actually type that used cars in New York in the search bar, right? But what I'm trying to convey to you is that there is a kind of like a behind the scenes aspect of a product, and then what we would call the front end, which we would call kind of like the back end of the product, and then the front end, which is what the end user like you are seeing here right now. So you probably are not even aware, and you don't need to be aware, of course, that there are actually multiple product managers managing all of these different aspects within Google. But back at Google, at the company, that is actually working on this and treating this as a product that users are going to use, well, there's actually not a single product manager managing all of this, but there's actually multiple product managers managing each of these subsections of the application, and obviously they're working together to ensure that ultimately you have a good experience when you're searching for things in Google. All right. So just to recap, what are the characteristics of a product? Basically, it is something that serves a purpose, right? It is there to do something to meet a market need or to meet something that you're trying to achieve or satisfy with that particular product. Ultimately, the characteristics of a product are well known to you naturally, intrinsically, but I'm placing them here so that you can actually, absorb what that means in the world of product management. Like, for instance, one of the things that we look at when we're looking at products is that it tends to seek to drive revenue and or engagement, right? So products don't exist just for the sake of existing. Generally, when a company creates a product, they are ultimately trying to achieve and meet a goal. And in the vast majority of times when they are creating a product, their ultimate goal is to create revenue and increasing revenue and continuous growth over time. So obviously the company would want to see more sales over time coming from that product, right? On occasion, a product might be actually a free product, but then that product is still serving a purpose. It's still meeting a market need or a market demand. And it might be, for instance, helping position the company, or it might be driving leads to other products from the company and so forth. Or alternatively, it could be generating revenue indirectly by, for instance, ads and stuff like that. All right. So when we are working and when we have product managers working on these different products at different companies, they are basically ultimately trying to improve and enhance them over time to ensure that as an end user, as a customer, you're actually continuously engaged with the product and you actually come back to either use it more or you come back for more copies of the same product. So you essentially buy more of those products, either for someone you know, someone you love, or for yourself, right? And that's why we also see iterations of products over time. Like for instance, you might get an iPhone now, and then in a year's time, there will be a newer version released of that iPhone with new features, new functionality, and more advanced and enhancements and improvements that you're gonna want to purchase to satisfy that need that you as a customer and user have around how that product helps you communicate, do your job, take pictures, videos, etc., whatever it is, right? And that is why these characteristics, I guess to recap, help define what a product is and the nature of the product itself. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.